Back to that very significant news that we were telling you about just a short while ago. This is coming to us from U.S. officials. They've confirmed that the Memorandum of Understanding between the U.S. and Iran has now been signed. Now, a signing ceremony was expected for Friday. We had understood from both sides, the U.S. and Iran, that they had reached a deal. But what we're now learning is that this deal, this Memorandum of Understanding, as it's being called, has actually been signed. Signed by President Donald Trump himself, by his Vice President, J.D. Vance, and the Americans are saying by the Iranian Parliament Speaker, Mohammad Bagher Qalibaf, who had been leading the Iranian delegation. Let's hear from the Iranian side on this. Al Jazeera's Tohid Asadi joins us live from the Iranian capital, Tehran. Tohid, good to have you back in the program. What are you hearing on your end?
Well, the latest comes from the Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Qalibaf, who is also the head of the Iranian negotiating delegation, on his X account coming out to call it a great step towards final victory, implying that the deal has been signed, but not directly. Still, we've got it from Foreign Minister of the country, Abbas Araghchi, and other diplomatic sources saying that the deal is set to be complete, but it's still the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that there is a possibility for the two sides, the head of delegations, to meet in Switzerland in order to sign it there. But we also know that a lot of diplomatic effort is underway. We know that the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi talked to his counterparts across the globe, including, I would say, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Turkey, Egypt, and Iraq over the past couple of hours. Meanwhile, we know that Qataris and Pakistanis are continuing the trajectory of mediation, while we know that a Qatari delegation has been in Tehran 2 times over the past few days to actually communicate the mediated messages of the Iranian side to the American side and the other way around. And also, we know that some issues are out there, some, I would say, different rhetoric, as we don't have the full details regarding this Memorandum of Understanding. Iranian side is talking about the continuation of its management over the Strait of Hormuz, and they're saying that it's going to be a coordinated way, while with the Omani side, while Americans are talking about the reopening of the Strait, and also when it comes to the frozen assets, Iran is talking about the release of some of those assets. In that regard, something that we are still waiting for further confirmation from the American side. Still, we know that this is something that we have to keep waiting to see the full details regarding the final text of the Memorandum of Understanding, about which Iranian Foreign Minister said that since there is a possibility for 11th hour change, now they have decided not to spill the beans about the full details.
Tohid Asadi reporting from the Iranian capital, Tehran. I just want to say that the head of the Iranian negotiating delegation, Mohammad Bagher Qalibaf, who is the Speaker of Parliament and who has, according to the Americans, signed this deal, wrote on X a tweet that shows a distinct change of tone just minutes ago. It starts with, "Beloved and tall-statured people of Iran!" ! With your historic resistance and the valor of the armed forces against those who sought the life of this nation and the destruction and surrender of this homeland, Iran took a great step toward final victory. They wanted to, but they couldn't. We stand firm, and in the end, our will triumph by the grace of God. So that's the head of the Iranian delegation. Not saying explicitly that he has signed a Memorandum of Understanding, but certainly this message suggests that that is absolutely a possibility. Definitely a change in tone from the Iranians. Let's bring in our chief U.S. correspondent, Alan Fisher, at the White House. Significant news, Alan, of course, but we don't have many details. What are you learning?
Well, the President and the Vice President signed the agreement yesterday. The question being asked, of course, is if the President felt it proper to put his name onto the agreement, why wasn't the Supreme Leader on the other side? Big question about the drawdown of American forces. The intention is that they will start to pull them down as the Iranians meet the requirements in the agreement. The United States saying that it's likely we'll get the full details of what's in the agreement within the next 24 to 48 hours. Senior US official that we've been listening to has been saying that the critics that have been attacking Donald Trump over the last several hours are almost laughable, simply because they are saying, on one hand, you can't do a deal with the Iranians like this because you can't trust the Iranians, and then they're quoting the Iranian side on what is in the deal. They think that doesn't make sense. Certainly, J.D. Vance was urged by the president to personally get involved in these discussions, and they believe that there will be a position where Iran can get into a much stronger position economically. But the US officials said that what they have to do is prove they are a real country by not funding what he described as terrorists. And then once we know that they act as a real country, they will be treated as a real country, and the opportunities will be there for Iran to become a very wealthy country. Certainly this is part of the US operation to portray this as a very good deal. They believe that they have entered into the discussions with the Iranians in a very strong position. They say that the idea that Operation Freedom, which of course was the idea of getting ships through the Strait of Hormuz, even though the Iranians said it was closed, made the Iranians realise that they simply didn't have control of the Strait. And when you added Operation Economic Freedom into that and the blockade around Iran, then that just made the Iranians even keener to get to a deal. Certainly the senior US official was saying that the discussions in Islamabad were incredibly fruitful because a lot of these were face-to-face, and that meant they could understand where the red lines were for the Iranians, and they could understand where the red lines were for the Americans. And even though it was decided at that point by the president not to do a deal, it formed the basis of the ongoing discussions that we saw. And of course there was a ceasefire during that period, and that then built onto the Memorandum of Understanding, which will, they hope, work its way into being a full-blown deal, hopefully within the next 60 days as far as the US is concerned. One other point on the enriched uranium, he said that essentially Iran's nuclear program has gone. A lot of the enriched uranium is buried. The Iranians realise only American machinery will be able to excavate that, and that's something that is under discussion with the Iranians and will be part of the ongoing talks that they have after the signing of the agreement in Geneva on Friday.